All right, we are filming. Today I'm going to show you how to get smarter. Things I learned from 6 books and a bonus book, and I'm going to break it down into steps how to get smarter. Whether you're creative, whether you're business mind, whether you just got out of college, whether you're going to high school, whether you're going to college, wherever you're going, this is how you can elevate. This is the BusyWorks Beats podcast, and here's where I go over things that are deeper than music production. And I'm going to give you some actionable steps you could use. This is not theory. I've used it to literally. I just last night I was up till maybe 6 a.m., 8 a.m., just obsessed with learning. And I just wanted to share this with you. Okay. So the first thing before I even get into my little list of stuff is allow your brain to chase curiosity. So for example, I have one book here. I'll leave all these links below because I'm a business account on Amazon and they gave me an affiliate link. So I'll link all this stuff below. But this is called The Personal MBA, Master the Art of Business by Josh Kaufman. This book alone, if you're a business person, you want to get into entrepreneurship, this book is the book. This book is supreme. Like every page has dense things you could do. It's not fluff. It's not a bunch of, it's very actionable, straightforward. Here's how to build a business type stuff. This is really, really well done. Okay. But my point in saying all this is I had different thoughts. I'm growing a YouTube business. We have a course training business. We're making sounds. We're doing deals with sound designers. I'm doing collaborations with other content creators. I'm thinking of podcast topics. I'm consulting. We're doing the mastermind group. So I have all these different things going on. And I had to realize I have to chase curiosity and not a topic. Now, what I mean by that is you may write a list of stuff you want to learn, like business, for example, and you'll make a task list that says, hey, I want to learn EBITDA. For example, EBITDA, EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Okay, you want to learn that. And you write down the list. You're like, okay, I want to learn sales. I want to learn marketing. I want to learn whatever the thing is, KPIs. And so you write this long list of business stuff. And then you start reading this book, Personal MBA, for example. You're like, okay, that's what value is. This is what a KPI is. This is what EBITDA is. All these different things. And then your brain goes, I want to learn about YouTube thumbnails. But the problem is we still force ourselves to continue reading the book that we're reading. And we don't allow ourselves to go down that rabbit hole of, for example, Daryl Eves, the YouTube formula, for example. We have a YouTube course. I'm actually going to update the YouTube course. It's going to be very dense. The new YouTube course at premium.busyworksbeats.com. I study a lot of folks. Now, Daryl Eves is the guy, the magician behind everyone who loves Mr. Beast. So this is a book I'll link below too. It's called The YouTube Formula, How Anyone Can Unlock the Algorithm to Drive Views, Build an Audience, and Grow Revenue. He's basically a marketer, but using YouTube as the medium. Lost the light. I got to turn on my thing real quick. All right, you can't make that stuff up. That's magic right there just happening. Okay, so Daryl Eves has a book called The YouTube Formula. Okay, it goes through. He's basically a marketer, but using YouTube as his medium that he expresses his magic, which is marketing, which is language, which is, phonetic, understanding how desire is created and capitalized upon. So he's really a marketer, but writing in the perspective of the YouTube medium. So he's really a marketer at heart, I could tell. And all I'm saying is, as you're going through these task lists of things you want to learn, allow your brain not to follow the topic, like the business MBA topic, not to force yourself down that topic. Allow your brain to have that curiosity and chase the curiosity, not the topic. Okay, so even if you have that long list of stuff, okay, I want to learn business, EBITDA, what's a technician versus an entrepreneur, all these different concepts, don't go in order. Allow your brain to jump around, okay, because you want to build these relationships, these neural pathways. You want to build these different pathways so that you can use what's called association to even remember the thing that you're learning. So we'll get into what all this means in a little bit, but for those who don't know, I studied pre-med in college. I went to Villanova University, graduated with a bachelor's degree in science. With a pre-med, I went for pre-med basically. And, as I went to college, I had a scholarship for actual science going into college. I want to thank, the university for even offering that. We started the pre-med club in our sophomore year, and it became the best club in the entire university. And that's where I learned entrepreneurship by accident. I stumbled across entrepreneurship. And ever since then, I've been addicted to creating value. How do I help people get to their goals? I'm a catalyst. I'm a person who takes people from here and takes them to their desired outcomes or their goals. Okay. And I'm saying all this to say that what we have to allow, I really want to give you permission to chase curiosity, because when you build those neural pathways and those associations, you remember more. I was studying to become a neural, I almost said neuroscience, but I went to become a neurologist. Technically, okay. I loved the brain. I loved how it worked. I just didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what marketing was called. I didn't know applied psychology. I didn't know all these terms back then. But I knew that I wanted to study the brain and human behavior. And I learned over time that's basically marketing. So I wanted to be a marketer at heart. I just didn't know what the heck it was called. That's why I'm teaching you how to get smarter using these books, because if you want to run your own business, you're going to have to learn way faster than anybody who's competing against you, and you have to learn in order to lead other people. I've had multiple teams now, tech team, multiple support teams. I've had teams with graphics teams. I've had teams with production teams. I've had content creator teams, sound designer teams. Running all these teams, you have to be a leader, and people follow the person who has actually been in the trenches and done it. For example, I can't tell a soldier to go into the battlefield and risk his life if I haven't been in that same battlefield risking my own life. Okay, so the general who gets respected is the one who was actually in the trenches. And I want to make sure I'm in the trenches of everything. So I make sure I learn like a daggone vacuum. My brain is a vacuum for learning. And it's so fun. Okay, so again, I just wanted to give you full permission to allow now you may confuse this. People tell you you're getting distracted or that you have some kind of condition. No, that's your natural brain's desire to pull. Whenever you feel like a desire to be pulled by something, chase that, because that's how you will receive it the most. If you're forcing something in, you're going to reject it. If you're pulled by something, you'll receive it 100%. That's how you learn way faster. That one key alone will make you learn way faster. So allow yourself to go on these like tangents and these rabbit holes, and just allow yourself to jump back and forth. You don't need to sit and read a whole book all the way through. I'm going to leave all these links below, so don't memorize all these book titles. These are really good books, though. I would not have them on my desk if these weren't good. I have so many books. If you want more videos on that, I'll go into that. Spent thousands and thousands of dollars on books. Way better education from books than my college education, but I did learn a ton in college, way deeper than the book stuff. Okay, so here's the first thing is, when you're learning, you have what's called an incorrect definition. So what I want you guys to do is, if you're into more entrepreneurship, sovereignty type stuff, grab the Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. I think the PDF's online. You can just Google Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition PDF, whatever. Download it and hit Control F to search. And whatever term you don't understand, search it up and see what the actual definition is. For example, I just learned what the actual definition to amortization was last night, or this morning, technically, because I was up in the morning. And because I want to study EBITDA, I want to understand cash flow, I want to understand all these different things. I started off with, now here's a gem. I know my brain's going all over the place, but this is how I think. Robert Kiyosaki has a game that's free online. It's called Cash Flow. It's a little confusing on like how to access the game, but I'll leave it below, because I thought that it wasn't working, but it was working. You just have to click this tab, but it's completely free. It teaches you everything about how to manage your cash, how to grow from having an income job to getting passive income, or grow from going from an income job to something that's an asset that goes up in value, so that you can now use that to, instead of relying on your income, you can now use your assets to generate the money flow and the cash flow to build and invest in things that bring you cash flow. So what I'm saying is that game opened up my desire to want to learn about EBITDA and cash flow and all these metrics in business that are more paperwork type stuff that I just didn't learn because I didn't go to business school. I went to school with a lot of smart business kids in Villanova. They were geniuses. I remember Warren Buffett came to our college. I didn't even know who Warren Buffett was at the time, but my friend was like, yo, Warren Buffett's here. Warren Buffett's just walking around right now. He's at the business school. And I'm like, okay, who is this? Who's this old dude? And meanwhile, Warren Buffett's like one of the richest dudes in the world coming to my school to come speak to whatever it was. So I didn't realize what I was around at the time. And all I'm saying is, I didn't get that paperwork side of business. I didn't get that, technical, financial analysis type side to my business, the accounting side. So now I'm trying to compensate by learning all that EBITDA and accounting and all these different things. So long story short, what I had to do was redefine what these words were. If I said EBITDA and I didn't know what each one of those words meant, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA, EBITDA. So if I don't know what any of those words means, I need to stop and I need to correctly define what those words mean. Now, I went into the Black's Law Dictionary to figure out the more accurate definition of amortization. It's basically, you don't need to know the definition, but I had to define it for myself. And if you still need help with defining word, not only the dictionary, but you need to go to what's called the etymology of the word. You need to figure out how that word is built up. Like, for example, I just wrote this in my notes. I don't know where I put it, but the word amortize means to deaden. Okay, so once I understand the root word of amortization, it means to deaden debt. Amortization means to deaden something. In that case, debts. To deaden debt. Okay, I get it now. I have a deep understanding of what that actually means. Amortization. Now that I can go further and further into amortization in the world of what that means. So I don't have a deep understanding, but at least I have a root definition for that word. And that's the first thing you need to do is correct your definitions. If I ask you what does abundance mean, I guarantee you 99% of the producers or artists who respond your definition for abundance are going to give me the completely wrong answer as to what abundance actually means. If you look up the etymology for abundance, it actually means that when you ask for something, there's enough for what you ask for. It doesn't mean that it's infinite. For example, I could say, hey, I want 1,000 heads of broccoli because I can consume 1,000 heads of broccoli. It doesn't mean that there's 37 gazillion infinite billion heads of broccoli. It just means that there's enough for what I ask for. That's abundance. So you're taught this even in like the law of attraction type videos that you guys watch. You're taught the words abundance and all these words, and it's used incorrectly. So when you're hearing these messages, you're thinking that it means something way different than it actually means. And so you have to correctly define a lot of the words. You were taught to here's what your brain wants to do. Now imagine your floor in your house. In this floor in my studio, I have like a hardwood alternative, and it has gaps in between the tiles. So your brain doesn't like gaps. And so what it does is to fill in those gaps, what it does is it rubs like, little concrete over the gap. It tries to fill in the gap. Even if it's a false definition, it fills in those gaps because we want that consistency. We want the constancy, I should say, of the gap filling. Okay, we want to feel like there's something that's constant. It's always securely there. Okay, and when we do that, but when we go to fill those gaps, we tend to fill those with improper materials, not concrete, but maybe like the little stuff you put around a tub. It's there, but it's not sturdy. It's not sturdy like concrete. So we fill it with the wrong definitions is my point. Another thing is when you come across an undefined word when you're reading, like this book has a lot of business terms, you may not understand all the business terms, like EBITDA, for example. You might read the word EBITDA and go, okay, cool. I understand the general sentence, but if you don't understand the word or the acronym, you need to go stop and define that word before you continue. I learned all this from the Basic Study Manual, which I don't have down here with me, but it's by L. Ron Hubbard. It's a really good book. I'll link it below in my Amazon links. Again, I'm an affiliate. I have a business account. I ordered thousands of dollars of stuff from Amazon. I got addicted to Amazon during the Thanksgiving stuff. But, what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of people, they'll read something, they really don't know what it means, but they just continue reading because they figure they don't need that one sentence to understand the rest. And that's where you won't gather a deep understanding of something because your brain will always stay on the surface level. It won't go deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, so here's another, because by our brain filling in that gap with the false definition, we go, your brain says, I already know this. So why am I listening to more inputs if I already have the input? But you actually don't have the input. Okay. You're going to convince yourself that you already know a concept or already know what a term is, but you actually have the incorrect definition. And something that you're going to learn in business is you have to unlearn all of the correlation chains that you were taught. So what I'm saying is there's a book right here called Competing in the Age of AI. So let's use AI as an example. This says Competing in the Age of AI, Strategy and Leadership When Algorithms and Networks Run the World by Marco. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'll leave the link below. Okay, so you may have been taught that just work harder and you'll get more money. If you actually look at the correlation between productivity and revenue, it's that, productivity could go up 10x, but revenue stays the same. Productivity is not a direct correlation to revenue. And so we're taught that if we just do the work, then it means that we're going to get some magical money at the end. That was in the Industrial Revolution when we had factories, because in that equation of a factory, the more bolts you twist, the more nuts you produce, it goes out. You now have more to distribute, which means more money. So the harder you literally work, the more quantity you develop, the more you're going to have, because the world needs whatever that thing is, steel, cars, whatever. If I make cars 10 times faster, Now we're making 10 times more because we have more distribution, but we're past that stage in the world where quantity is the thing that we have to develop. Because now you can make 1 million shirts. It doesn't mean that they're going to sell 1 million. We're beyond the factory lifestyle, I should say. So what I'm trying to say is we have to disconnect work with money, because putting in more work energy does not mean more money. Why are the richest people in the world not working? Warren Buffett is not working as hard as the college kid right now who's studying every single day and just constantly working and working and working. He is not doing remotely that much. I'm using Warren Buffett as an example because he's more in the latter, of his business career. And so work does not equal money. Okay. That's not the correlation. So you have to disconnect that in your mind. You have to say, okay, me working harder does not mean we're going to make more money, which means what is the money correlation? How do I get to more money then? What is the money equation? What's the correlation? What's the sequence of events? If I do this, which begets this, which goes to this, which goes to this, which leads to money. We have to redefine that sequence of events because our brain creates these stories, which are if-then sequences. Similar to how in a movie you may see a little boy kiss a little girl behind a bush, and then she kisses the boy on the cheek, little boy falls to the ground. Now that little boy, when he grows up, when he's that age, like the boy in the movie that he just saw, and a girl goes to kiss him behind a bush, he falls down like the boy in the movie, because that's the story, the if-then sequence in his brain that was implanted that he never redefined. So he says, okay, if girl kisses on cheek, then fall, because that's the implanted program into his subconscious mind. So that will trigger, even if he didn't live that experience, his mirror neurons brought it into his brain and put it in as a program, even if he wasn't the one actually doing it. And we have all these false stories that we learn from movies, parents, school, academia, all these different places and different YouTubers. We have all these false stories that have what's called false correlation, meaning if I do this thing, it does not lead to that thing. Okay. So a big problem that producers have is that they think they know it already. And that's because they're told all these false stories that they never redefine. So another issue that you have is that you don't have a reason to study something. So for me, studying this book, Competing in the Age of AI, I saw how big ChatGPT was and how big Bing was and how big AI is for Google. And I'm going, okay, AI is coming faster than we know. I saw a WEF report about how 85 million jobs are going to be lost. That was shocking. Okay, by 2025, that's close. Now, 92 million are supposedly going to be created, but 85 million jobs are going to be lost by 2025. That's 2 years from now. We have to read up as much as we can. Now, there's a point where I even thought, and I learned this from, I think, Alex Hormozi or one of the speakers about AI, is that I used to think that, okay, as long as you're creative and you have a curation ability, you'll be good against AI because AI can't understand style or curation. I forgot about the machine learning side of AI, for example, which is, yeah, an AI can, do what we want it to do under human intent, but what if it learns so much that it learns to correct itself and it can create its own iterations to where now it can make those decisions that a human would make based on pure data and pure human behavior? That's where you question, okay, like, what will be my role in the world of AI? That's why I'm reading this book, for example. Okay, so I'll leave this link below. It's called Competing in the Age of AI. There's just so many things that you have to make sure you're up upon. And my point is, why am I studying that matters? Because this is a real revolution that's about to happen. Like, for real. I thought Web3 would be the world changing thing in crypto. No, this AI is happening so fast that this is the actual world changing element, because I've seen it implemented, whereas Web3 wasn't really implemented as much as people were talking about it. Okay. Now, another thing is you may have a lack of what's called mass or something to work with. So for example, if you're learning FL Studio, and I'm telling you how to sidechain your kick by going to your mixer channel and then right clicking the up arrow and then routing and then sidechain this track only, you need to see the DAW. I can't just talk about it. You have to physically see it, and you have to move the mouse yourself and click on the buttons yourself in order to learn it. So a lot of us don't have the thing to learn with. We don't have any hands-on piece to what we're learning. And so we're just learning a concept to learn a concept. We're never getting our hands on. And that's the issue that people have. The next issue is that people try to start from level 1 and jump to level 45. In Pokemon, you guys know in Pokemon that when you put up your, before your Oddish, not even a Pikachu, your Oddish, you go, I choose you. And it's an Oddish. You throw out Oddish. He's level 5. and somehow you hacked your way into the gyms that are like 3 cities ahead, and you're facing a level 55 Pokemon, you know one move against your little level 5 Oddish is going to wipe your Oddish out. You're not going to win against a level 55 because his stats aren't up. He hasn't worked his defenses up, his attacks up. So level 5 Oddish will get demolished by a level 55 Charizard. Same thing with your education. For some reason, we think we're just superhuman beings that just can take on level 1000 things as a level 2. If you're on Destiny, you know what I mean. You go to those little caves sometimes in the beginning of Destiny, you're level whatever, 20, or let's say level 5, and you go into one of those caves and you face a level 20 monster and they start tearing you up. It takes 2 shots to take you down. And that's because you're not prepared. You don't have the right stuff to go up against that opposition, for example. Same thing with education. You know, I can't go into a gym where I've never worked out before, go into a gym and start bench pressing 500 pounds. That's insane. You would never do it in the gym, but you tend to do it with your own mind, thinking that your mind is not like a muscle. Okay. I know it's corny to say, but your mind is like a muscle in the fact that you have to train it to get to the 500 pounds. You don't just go from 5 to level 500. Okay, and that's the magic pill that everybody's chasing is how do I just become invincible? Take this magical thing to make me super smart and a genius overnight. That's not how your brain even works. It has to build neural pathways, which takes time. You have to build habits, which takes time. You have to build so many things that just physically take time, literally in biology, to even build those pathways for that to happen. It does not happen overnight. Okay, so what I'm saying is you guys are jumping into too steep of a learning curve. You know, I know you want to be rock stars tomorrow. You have to learn the principles. That's why we teach this at premium.busyworksbeats.com. The first thing I tell people to start with is music theory essentials. Like Jesus said, don't build your house on sand. I'm giving you concrete to build your house on. I'm giving you the things that go way into the ground when you build those skyscrapers. You dig down first, then you build the skyscraper going up. Most people want to just build the roof of the skyscraper with no foundation. And so you have to have the proper foundation is my point. And most people are jumping into too hard of material right away where they can't comprehend because it goes back to not understanding words or terms or the concepts. You have to go back and define those concepts before we start talking about the reticular activating system. You need to know what, mitochondria is, or you need to know what a brain cell is before I start getting into psychology terms like the reticular activating system. What does the brain even do? How does it focus? Okay, so moving on. The next obstacle you have is misunderstood words. Again, this is going to be the biggest thing is that it's not that you didn't define a word. It's that you think you already know a word. And when you come across that word, you just skim by because you think you know it, but it's actually false. You need to go back and redefine those words. So here's some obstacles. It's called word clearing. Again, I learned this from L. Ron Hubbard's called Basic Study Manual. I'll link it below. Hopefully I remember. And he talks about clearing words. Now, the exercise of clearing a word is not only to define the word. So going to, a dictionary, finding the word, like this book is massive. This book is called The Audio Expert, Everything You Need to Know About Audio. This is the book. If you want to be a genius of just audio engineering and, learning about circuitries, for example, different routing situations and what I haven't gone too far in this book to know, like if it talks about resistors and ohms and voltage and all this type of stuff, but it's pretty dense right away. You're talking about dB per octaves. You're talking about a lot of deep stuff right away. I'm trying to find a picture. It gets scientific with audio. It's not just one of these books written by a random YouTuber. Okay, it gets scientific with audio. And this is what helped me chisel out my knowledge on mixing. I mean, I'm underlining something every page. Like every page I have something underlined because it's a new concept to me or something that I really want to grasp. Like what is voltage units compared to, the different systems of measuring audio, K metering versus LUFS. Like what is the science behind it? I don't want to hear a YouTuber talk about it. I want to see the actual data from research and engineers. I went to school for science, so I want to see the science. I don't want to hear about a YouTuber's perspective. I want to see the data. So this book is really well done by Ethan Weiner. Again, I'm going to have an Amazon link below. I'm an affiliate because I have a business account. I've ordered like tens of thousands of things from Amazon. Spent a lot of money with Amazon. Okay, so I know the value of Amazon to you. They ship really quick. It's just easy to use Amazon. Keep track of all your shipments and everything. So all I'm saying is we need to go back and clear words. And cleared words mean you need to go find a word you don't know, go define it, and then make sure you understand how to use it in context. Okay, that's the problem where a lot of people just, they define a word like amortization. They go, okay, I know what amortization is. That's it. And they move on. But it's like learning a chord. Okay, I learned D minor chord, but how do I put the D minor chord in the chord progression? How does D minor sound soft here but hard over here? Like you have to understand the context of minor chords, for example, not just the fact of how to make a minor chord. You need to understand, okay, what happens if I put the minor chord after a diminished chord? What happens if I play high frequencies going down to the low frequencies? Does that change the perception of the chord? Yes. And it's small things like that. So you're not truly clearing words when you don't know words. You're just giving a quick little dictionary glance and calling it a day. But clearing a word means to define it, use it in context, and make up sentences using the word. Okay, so these are the exercises on how to actually learn. And this will get you motivated to learn stuff. Okay, so the next thing, again, is misunderstood words. I went over that a lot. And then lastly, just demonstrating how the data is used. And I'll kind of wrap it here because the next thing is drills, but you need a coach or a teacher, a hands-on teacher to sit down with you and drill you, on questions. This would be like a quiz or an exam. We have a certification program at premium.busyworksbeats.com where we drill you on knowledge. It's not just, hey, I have all these videos and call it a day. You learn what you learned and go about your day. It's like, okay, if you really learn saturation, what's the difference between soft clipping and hard clipping? And if you don't know the difference between soft clipping and hard clipping, you actually don't know what clipping is or soft clipping versus hard clipping. So now we need to go back to that video. I quiz you and I have different full-on exams where we have really hard questions. It's not simple. It's actually very difficult questions to get you to the certification program. And that's a lot of questions. So, and the only way to pass into our certification program is if you get 100% on the exams. There's no, hey, you get to pass if you get a 70%. It's 100% or no certification certificate. Okay, so that's at premium.busyworksbeats.com and our music producer certification program. Very different from our premium stuff because in the certification program, we have, again, that exam type stuff to where it's like, okay, you actually know this material and you can go into the real world now knowing that you know this stuff. And that's the main difference, is that we don't give people help on the questions. I don't give out answers, okay, to keep the integrity of that certification program. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I just want to show you a couple other books. This is called The $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, How to Make Offers So Good People Feel Stupid Saying No. He's just, I'm not going to call him Russell Brunson, but Russell Brunson mapped out how to run your online businesses very well. And I think Alex Hormozi just has a different perspective, like a different personality type. So you receive the information in a different way because of the way he presents his information. Okay, so it's just giving you the simplicity of what business is mapped out into steps and things you could do to optimize and just realize, oh, I'm making it more complicated than I actually need to. Okay, so here's another book, Ready, Fire, Aim. So this is if you guys are really trying to grow your businesses to big bucks. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim, 0 to... And I think maybe Alex Hormozi got his marketing from this dude because this is called Ready, Fire, Aim, 0 to 100 million in no time flat by Michael Masterson. The only difference is Michael Masterson, I've never seen him on social media, never seen his face, but he wrote a book that every entrepreneur keeps talking about. Really good book. It tells you like, when you're going from $0 to $1 million, what do you need to solve for? When you're going from $1 million to $3 million, what do you need to solve for? When you're going from 3 to 10, what do you need to solve for? It shows you all the stages so you don't feel confused as you're growing your business. You're going, oh, this is just the natural cycle of how a business is grown. It has different problems at different levels. So that book maps that out really well. That's the book. This is like the foundation, Ready, Fire, Aim. And then you move into books like $100 Million Offers for more modern type of tactic type stuff, more online marketing type stuff. And then lastly, with book, I showed you all the books. Okay, so I'll leave all these books below. And if you guys want, maybe I'll go through a book that you guys want to buy or something. I'll buy it and go through it and give you like the PowerPoints, and then we'll just take the lessons out of it and move on. Have that type of thing for this podcast. I want to thank you for hanging with me. Subscribe. This is the new podcast. Again, I'm trying to round you out as a better creative. It's way deeper than just learning how to make beats. This is the stuff I used to do. I just forgot how important it was. I started doing it on Clubhouse, but it wasn't recorded, so there's nothing to show you. But we used to have a lot of talks where I would help people out on the stuff that's way deeper than just learning FL shortcuts. Okay, so subscribe if you're new, like the video. Peace.